7:36. We'll open the Planning Commission meeting February 11th, and I'll stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So, any comments on the agenda?
Roll call.
Oh, roll call, I'm sorry. I knew I was going to miss something.
Smith?
Here.
Patterson? Here. Henderson here. Cronin?
Here.
Shoemaker? Sleds?
Here.
Galecki.
Present. Okay, so now approval of agenda. So anybody got anything they want to add? Already pretty full.
Yeah, we've got enough on it.
Okay, so a motion to approve as presented.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Okay, so now we're to the approval of minutes from January 5th meeting. Yep, if there's no comments on the minutes, a motion to approve as presented.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so we got a few minutes before the public hearing. We have the public hearing scheduled at 7:45.
45.
Okay, so we can open the public hearing after the designated time, but we can't open it beforehand. So,
Take public comment.
I guess. But that's going to be in the. So, is there any public comments on non-agenda items to address planning with? Okay, hearing none. So I could do part of my chair report if you kind of don't mind. So that's moving it up. So not the last council meeting, but the council meeting prior, Mr. Conan brought up the separation of the liquor.
1,000-foot requirement.
Yes, for the liquor license. So council was for it, but they didn't approve it because at that point in time, there wasn't an amount, wasn't there?
We just figured that it wouldn't all happen until after the fiscal year started in April.
Correct. So, I got a consensual agreement, but they didn't make a motion. So, we are gonna be able to split. So, we'll do that relatively soon. So, this is Laura Hall from McKenna, and I just told her that we were gonna do that just a few minutes ago. So,
Okay.
we can kind of have that set once the, maybe even before the, before our budget of April 1st starts. Isn't it April 1st?
Yes.
No? Yeah, okay. So that'll be the April, or the 2015 start of our budget. So now we're still in 14-15, so we don't have any money allocated for anything. So then we'll have money allocated for that. And then after that, then we'll start doing the rest of the modifications.
So this was a promise to allocate once they get around to the new budget? Is that what?
Well, the council supported the idea of moving on that and, you know, supporting the party store owner and
Okay.
getting that done. It just, we figured we could put it in the new budget because it wouldn't be ready before April
Before April
1st.
1st, yeah, okay. All right.
So the big thing was to separate it from all the amendments we were gonna do to the ordinance.
Okay.
So they approved the separation.
So we're gonna do that one separate and then the rest of them clumped together?
Correct.
Okay, okay.
Correct, yeah,
Good.
yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah. Okay, so we've still got a few minutes. So the next part, so a business owner has contacted me about expansion of their building, and I've been in contact with the building inspector, Dennis Lemieux, about some setbacks that were in question. So kind of waiting to hear from Dennis as to what can transpire, and once that comes through, then they'll be coming before planning if we can do what we're hoping to.
This is commercial?
Yeah, it's commercial property.
Wow.
So they want to expand, but they have to move an auxiliary building. So,
Busy?
yeah, so. So maybe we can take this time, did everybody get a copy of the,
Lawyer's letter?
yeah, the lawyer's exhibit A
Yeah.
from the attorney? How about everybody take a chance to go through that, take a moment to go through that?
I think it's important to note that section 4, that this would not be something that would be transferable to the next business, that this is just for as long as this business exists.
Okay.
Something that you should recognize, Mark.
I guess I'll wait till you start talking about it.
You're
Yeah,
talking,
yeah.
the SALU, it doesn't go with the property? Is that-
It does,
But
We-
not the parking portion, or the use of the parking lot.
No,
I just soon, okay, so special approval land use, we were always under the assumption that it was not transferable. But we found out a couple of years ago, it is transferable.
Right.
But as a planning commission, we can make a stipulation of the special approval that it is not transferable.
Oh, really? Good.
So we came to the conclusion that all special approval land uses will be stipulated in the agreement that it is not transferable. And one of the things that we're gonna change in the ordinance is that stipulation.
Okay.
That special approval land uses are not transferable.
Transferable, okay.
So then we won't have to do it in each individual instance.
Let's see, there's some problems down the line.
Yeah, that's what we're hoping to circumvent.
Okay, good.
Okay, so now it's 7:45. So we can bring the public hearing to order. Can we do both of these under one, or do you have to open it and close it, and open it and close it?
You can open it for both.
Okay, all right. So there are two properties in question in the public hearing notice. One is for 74130 Fulton, owned by the Ezzo family, and the other one is 23010 Main Street, owned by the Belkey family. So the reason for the public hearing are the Ezzo property is zoned C2. So the applicant is an industrial user, and in order to allow the industrial user in a C2, you conduct what's called special approval land use. And part of the requirement of that is the public hearing, so that's where we're at right now. And in case of the Belkey property, that is zone C1, and their property, their designation or their usage is basically going to be a hall. So the hall designation in C1, also C2, would be a special approval land use, so that's why we're here tonight. Okay, all right. All right. Okay, so first we'll see if there's any comments on the Ezzo property. Stella, so if you could
Yes.
kind of say your name.
My name is Stella Pitleski. I live at 74100 Fulton Street, which is right next door to the subject property. And I would like to say that I would be very pleased to have Mr. Pratt come in with his business next door to me, because I've seen the work that he does. I'm very impressed with his work. And he would have a nice, clean operation. And I think that, you know, he's got over 30 years in business, in his business, which would give us stability in the community. And I think he would be a very valuable asset to our community. I hope you all agree.
Okay, thank you.
Ben?
I agree.
Oh, motion to open? Okay, well,
Say it
okay,
again,
well.
I have to say it again. No.
Okay, you can tell we don't do this too often. So a motion to open the public hearing.
Okay. You want me to do it again?
No, you're
No,
good.
yeah.
I make a motion to open the public hearing.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so then we'll,
Now we're official.
yeah.
Do I count?
Yeah, you count. Yeah. We don't count, you count. Okay, is there anybody else, now that we're official? So and this is again on the Ezzo property.
Can I ask a question before we get going on it, Ben? Quite a few times on the Esso property, they say that they don't have a site plan. Did she not have this, or was this not adequate, or?
Well,
I mean, it says it several times in here, you know, they don't have an adequate site plan on the property, and. we've
and I
had this-
think, well, adequate, the key word there is adequate, because I do believe that they had that drawing. You mailed that to them, correct?
Okay.
So-
This was all Amy had received.
Oh, no, I mailed her the other.
No, yeah.
Originally.
Yeah, that was, I don't know, what, a month and a half ago?
Yeah, whenever you first
Yeah.
did it.
Just had a notion by reading through it that they didn't have the site plan, it just sounded like they did.
That was original, so that was for
Right.
last month.
Right.
But Actually, it wasn't even last month. It was the month prior,
It was 2 months ago.
2 months ago.
Yeah.
So, and at that point in time, we didn't, but that came in before the January's meeting. But then they didn't come to the January's meeting, wasn't that correct?
Right. because
That's
we
right, yeah,
canceled
they
it.
did not.
Okay.
So Amy has never seen this, is that correct? She's never seen the site plan?
Well, it was mailed, whether or not they saw it or not, I don't know. I don't have it either.
Did you see it?
No, and
So,
I'm very surprised because she did write this review and it's very like clear from it that she didn't see any
Yeah, that's
sort
what I
of site
thought reading it
plan.
too.
Right.
Well-
It sounded like she hadn't seen it.
but see, even if you look at this, there's parking, but there's nothing to do with the trucks loading and unloading and
Right.
how you get the trucks in. So even though that this exists, it still is incomplete.
Yeah. That I agree with,
Okay.
but to read this, it sounds like they hadn't even
They had
seen
nothing.
one.
Right,
Yeah, they
yeah.
had nothing, so.
But there are other things. It says there's no floor plan.
Yeah. So, but really, this is for out of public hearing.
Okay.
Okay. Hold on. MCDD. Okay, so now continuing on with public hearing, we'll switch over to the Bellevue property. So if there are any comments from the audience on the Bellevue property, 23010, which is the old Pizza Express building. Okay, so hearing no comments, we'll, a motion to close the public hearing, correct?
Everybody contact?
I'd say,
So moved.
Okay, second? Second. All in favor?
Aye?
Aye. Okay. So now we're out of the public hearings and we're,
750.
we'll go back and talk about the, Ezo property. Okay, so everybody has the, and I don't know what everybody's got, so, everybody has a review from the planner.
Yes.
And then the original stuff that came, oh, here's that drawing, I got it. So this was in the original package,
Correct.
correct?
Yes.
Okay. So this was mailed, so it didn't come via email, so it wasn't scanned, so it was actually hard mailed. Anyway, okay, so can she have this one?
Sure.
Okay. I'll give you mine.
I got one.
You have one?
Yeah, she
Okay,
can
I'll-
have that, Ben.
Oh, this is yours. Oh, sorry, Dale.
No, that's fine. Actually, I got two of them because I think the second month you gave us another one of them, so I
Okay,
think I got two of those, so
okay,
it's fine.
okay. So,
We're going by that one.
Yeah.
so there's also the agreement, so one of the holdups was the, no access to the building. So there's adequate parking, and we've never really done anything with it because it was all just, personal vehicles. So now we're talking about industrial trucks, steel haulers, and, commercial freight haulers. So the Exhibit A agreement that was, is in front of you was prepared by the village attorney, and if this goes through, then it would be signed by the village and the applicant or the property owner, or both.
This, I don't have a signature for that. That one would be the applicant.
Yeah. It'll be signed by the applicant. Yeah, okay. So then the,
This is for the SALU. This is for the parking lot.
okay, all right.
These would be
Okay, so they're,
conditions
yeah,
for the special
right, they're
approval.
all together.
Yes.
Okay. So has everybody had a chance to read the replies by McKenna?
Yes.
Okay, so how about some discussion in lieu of the replies, and Laura can, we can ask Laura any questions that we have.
This Exhibit A is that's just to give them, well, the main thing is they can go through the parking lot, public
Correct.
parking lot.
That's not what Exhibit A is. Exhibit A has to do with the SALU.
Correct.
Oh, it
If
does,
you go
okay.
back, that's the first couple pages. Then if you go farther on, it is two things to do with special approval.
Okay.
Yeah, so I was incorrect, so the Exhibit A is, as Becky said, is the recommendations for this special approval, land use conditions. And then the second section is not really for us, it would be between Pratt Holdings, DBA Display Mix, and the Village Council.
Okay, well, let me ask it a different way then.
Okay.
How are trucks gonna get in and out of that area?
Dean?
I don't know what reference the question is, because you're talking about
The
exhibits,
east
I don't
end.
even know what you're looking
The
at.
east end.
Pardon?
You're coming down the
How the trucks
alley?
are coming in.
have to come
How does trucks come in?
They come in a one-way alley, circle around the back of the building.
Okay, so they're gonna make a U
Yes,
and then into the parking lot.
no. They unload on the property, on the
Right.
premise, not imposing on anybody else, and then exit out the public parking
Yeah,
lot.
that's what I'm saying. Okay.
So the original drawing that we had shows parking adjacent or perpendicular to the back of the building. So those parking spaces are labeled 1 and 2. Those would be invalid by the truck route. So, but there is, I'm not sure, but there, I think there's sufficient parking in that section that says east of lot 74, or east 40 of lot 74. So, we were talking about that earlier this evening, so just switching some of that parking over.
So you got 6 there, and then you got what's marked 3 and 4 are still there?
Well, that we have to look at, so that I'm not, we need some more dimensions in this. It says that there's 43 foot. The planner's guideline for the tractor trailer that's been stipulated would come in is a 40-foot turning radius. You
Well, let me
only have 43
interject
foot.
there. It's a 28-foot trailer plus a cab. They call it PUP. It's not the WB-40.
Well, okay, it's a 28-foot trailer plus the tractor,
Yeah.
so that's,
Yeah, it says
Okay.
35, 36 feet from the trucking company. So it's a little smaller truck than that chart that was furnished by the planners.
so anyway, we've got some things to nail down before we can approve this. So, once we approve it, then it would go to council to enter into the agreement for the parking lot. So, planning can't do that.
How do I get a copy of the proposed agreement that I'm going to be asked to sign?
Sure.
Do you have one?
I don't have an extra copy.
I do. You can have mine.
So you can have this one, and I'll get another one.
Thanks, Ben.
Where's the parking lot?
It's
What's that?
page 6 through 10 or 6 through
It's
9.
the last two
First
pages
5
of that.
pages. First 5 here.
So the
And
thing
then
that-
last 1, 2, 3, then the parcel and the address that goes down.
So Jeff's, is he has to sign that parking lot thing before we give him his
That's it.
So this got to go back to council first.
He signs it before we give him the SALU, then council will approve it once he's signed.
Okay, all right.
Allowing
Oh,
delivery
you're right.
vehicles to be operated. All right, so Ben, do you want to walk through this through the SALU part, or are we going to want to hit the performance standard part first, and then, as way it's written, they're written up here, they went with the,
Well,
they
let's-
went with the,
Let's go through the planner's guidelines and then proceed from there. So do you have a copy of this that you can kind of put this in order for me? 'Cause it went from, well, see, that goes from 5 to 7.
This is special approval. This isn't.
Would, Lori, maybe want to explain where you guys came from on your recommendation?
Sure. Excuse me. Good evening. I'm filling in for Amy here this evening. So as Ben mentioned, this is a special land use, and all special land uses require site plan approval. So we did note that a full site plan that meets the requirements for Article 18 should be provided in order to make a complete assessment of this special land use and the site. But we did compare what was provided for the industrial use standards and then did a special land use review. In terms of the industrial use standards, the site is directly adjacent to a residential use. There is a standard that industrial uses cannot be within 500 feet of such a residential use. This would require a variance at a minimum in order to move this forward. In terms of the parking and loading, we are still concerned without seeing the truck radius on the site plan, how it would impact the parking, what that would do for the spaces 3 and 4. So Amy took some aerial photography and put a truck turning radius on there, and it didn't look like it was sufficient, that there was sufficient room. So we would like to see a detail of that. Impact assessment is required and has not been provided. There also are the performance standards that you mentioned. Information would need to be provided in order to consider that aspect. In terms of the special land use review, there are some additional information items that the applicant would need to provide in order for us to move forward. A documented need for the site or for the use would need to be stated. One of the largest obstacles with this site is that it doesn't appear that the proposed use, in terms of its proximity and the operations of the facility and the loading and unloading zone, would be compatible with adjacent uses. Those being the residential and then the downtown core that you have. It's also not compatible with the vision outlined in the master plan. This site is planned for the expansion of the downtown district, which does not include industrial uses, and those industrial uses are planned for the south of the village. It's also not in compliance with the applicable regulations, most specifically the 500-foot setback from residential uses. We should also consider the impact it would have on public services, on traffic, and on the environment. So based on this information, we do feel that in thinking long-term about the village and this downtown core, that this would not be an appropriate use, but there is still missing information that if you felt warranted, some further discussion should be provided in order to make a complete determination.
Okay, thank you. So there are other industrial uses in the area, so there is precedent to have this as, to allow this to be a special approval land use. So, as Laura stated, in our master plan, it does say that we want to eventually move that industrial core that's there to another industrial area, which we do not have at present. And the 500-foot setback from residential came in the new ordinance. So prior to the new ordinance, just like the liquor 1,000-foot setback, that's in a new ordinance. It wasn't in the old ordinance. The old ordinance was only 30 feet. And if you were a industrial user next to an industrial user, it was 0. The same thing with C2 commercial. It was 0 lot lines. So, so there is precedent to allow this. If, just like the party store and the liquor license, as Laura said, we could either change the ordinance, which I don't think we want to do, but it could go to zoning board of appeals, because one of the things that zoning board of appeals can do is setbacks. So what we would do is recommend, we would go as far as we could, and then we would recommend to go to zoning board of appeals to get a variance for it.
That could be an option, although the zoning board of appeals would have they would be hard pressed to approve that type of setback, that variance for the 500 feet, because of the language that even though a precedent had been set in the past for other industrial businesses, the way that the zoning is now, and because of the master plan, that that precedent would no longer carry the same weight in a way.
Even with our recommendation, that would be is, since that is the plan and the plan's just not being acted upon at this time, and the hardship has been created on our own. We created it for them.
Well, there is other.
Where'd the 500 feet come from? So is that a state ordinance as the liquor thing was? So that would be a question that we would have to ask. And if it is, then as the liquor control, or as the liquor ordinance was, the state allowed for a variance in their ordinance, in their regulations, so that allowed us to vary our regulations too.
I don't believe it was a state ordinance that
No?
the 500 feet came from. No, not for the industrial use, no.
Well, then the zoning board of appeals ought to be able to handle that, shouldn't they?
Well, yes,
By granting a variance?
yes, that is part of their jurisdiction. I guess it would just be difficult for the applicant to prove that they have a practical difficulty, even though we did create, the village is now under the new zoning and master plan, because there is land available for development.
I would think it'd be easy to prove a practical, because there's no buildings out there where
Correct.
proposed, there's nothing to rent.
There's no.
There's nothing
This
to rent.
is readily available.
Yeah, there's nothing to rent, and there's really no property to buy to build on.
You know.
So all the industrial property is spoken for. There is some vacant, but it's owned and not for sale. Okay, so if we can,
Let's see, section 4.
page you got there. Do you have these? It's not in this packet.
It's gonna be a subset of another
So
one.
the only thing you got was this.
Yeah, that's what Amy used on top of aerial photography.
Okay, so, but then, so we don't have the relationship of this aerial to this.
No, she didn't provide them.
Okay, all right. So, and then, okay, so this says 40 foot. Right here, I knew it was in here somewhere.
Mhm.
And then she used a 45 foot truck thing. Like this. So this says 45 and this says 40.
Oh, because I think she applied this.
But that's axle.
Mm.
Okay, all right, okay. But this says truck trailer, it doesn't go by axle. So when you're considering a truck length, truck tractor length, you go by oversized length, or overall length.
So then we really don't know for a fact whether what he's proposing, that semi, can actually get in there, get around there, and get through that parking lot.
No, well, we really haven't been given the drawing that shows the trucks and trailers and the maneuvering, loading and unloading area. So that isn't in any of our stuff. So what we would need eventually to proceed would be a drawing showing the parking, the new parking layout and the ingress, egress, and unloading and loading area.
I think the question was whether or not a truck can do it.
Yeah.
The answer is yes.
basically.
We sent drivers over there with the trucks, they did, no problem.
Yeah,
They
we
drive
don't-
right around.
but there's nothing on here showing anything, that's.
Oh, no, not. But the answer to your question is
It can be
yes.
done.
Oh, absolutely.
Now, are you backing into that overhead door?
No.
No, so it's gonna sit outside, you're gonna just unload it outside?
If a pickup is arranged, yeah, the truck pulls up, the back, it's on the property, we load it and they're gone. It's
But
like,
I'm talking like the materials, the incoming materials.
those are the little cube vans.
Oh,
That's
so
that's
they
not,
don't-
that's
they
not an
don't
issue.
have anything, okay.
No, the only issue has to do with the common carrier and material delivery. And they both have short trucks available. And there's no issues with those trucks. If your question was, can a truck make that turn?
Make that turn.
Absolutely.
Make that U.
Yeah, absolutely, no
Okay.
problem.
Do they have this?
Yeah.
They got this?
Oh, yeah.
They sound like they don't.
I do not believe so.
No.
That was presented to
No,
council,
Mark, no.
but
You don't have it?
that wasn't given
I'm
to
sorry,
planning.
Mark, thanks. I'm just a little tired. I got one for everybody. Yeah, this is not the type of drawing that you're looking for the planning board,
Yeah.
but it's certainly sufficient for discussion. Maybe I don't have enough. Can you show them?
Yeah, what
Okay,
about-
they're talking about this.
I know it's not a proper drawing for the planning,
This is-
But,
let's look at this
no work for discussion. There's 3 pages that
This is not, yeah,
the aerial view kind of illustrates it, and that's a proportional drawing, not scaled.
okay.
The approach is through the one-way alley, around the back. What's not shown on there is that between the 2 buildings where the activity takes place is all Mr. Izzo's property. So anything taking place is on the property, it's not imposing on any neighboring property. The second page is very similar to what the planners presented for turning radiuses. And we basically agree with all those numbers. The math works out according to that diagram. It requires on the WB40 truck, and I'm not exactly sure what that is, but I think we're using a smaller truck than that. But on a WB40 truck, it requires 39.9 feet of radius. Based on my measurements of the property, we've got a little over 45. So it's
Your
not an
drawing
issue.
says 43. So this original drawing.
43.5? Is that correct? 43.5?
Yeah,
It says 46.
it's 43 at the,
Between the buildings? Then
yeah.
that's not right. I measured it a few days
It
ago.
says 46, though.
That's right. I measured that a few days ago. It's 46 feet between those
Oh,
buildings.
yeah, there, yeah, on the front page, Justin says 46.
Okay,
Yeah.
so what we need to do is get a drawing that's accurate, because the drawing that you've officially given says 43 foot and 40 foot.
Let me ring in on that for a second, Ben.
Yeah, what's that?
When this process started, it's pretty well dated now.
Mhm.
The feedback I initially got was, give us a letter, tell us what you're gonna do, show us the parking. It was described as a simple process. But every time I come near this, it gets more complex.
Well,
I'm trying to keep it simple.
exactly. The complexity comes with the trucks. So if you didn't have the semi-trucks, it would have been a much simpler.
We'd be happy to provide more documentation.
Sure.
I'm sure
Okay.
that's what tonight's meeting is to determine what the deficiency is, so we come back again and address it, right?
Okay, so you have a copy of the McKenna
Yes, sir.
response. So then with that, and you also have a copy of the agreement, correct?
It glanced through
Yeah,
that.
and then you have a copy of the recommended special approval agreement. So,
Yeah.
so then all we need is the drawing,
Yes, sir.
and then you would, full knowing that you would have to, the agreement, I was just told that we can approve, because council's already seen this agreement, is that correct?
Council's already approved Jeff drawing up the agreement,
Okay,
and he put in the stipulations that they required.
okay, all right. So, that being said, I assume that council, we could approve this with your signature on the drawing, or on the agreement for the parking area, for the use of the parking area. So that's the agreement between Display Mix and the village council, which is the last 2 pages of that document that's marked Exhibit A.
That was the
The-
$1 fee.
Yeah.
Yes, correct, yeah.
I saw a
$1
fee. I saw a
Yeah,
fee
that's
and I
gonna
circled
break
that.
you.
So what, a fee? I looked back up $1.
Well, that was my question too, it said fee, and I said, well, where's the fee?
We can handle that.
Yeah. So then I think what we need to do is table this until, table. Postpone.
Table means you're bringing it back later tonight, postponing means you're bringing it back on a later date.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, what did you say?
Yeah.
That is like that.
Okay, all right. So we're gonna postpone this until we can get some more documentation. So in the documentation that you bring, besides the drawings, then stipulate what the truck is on your drawings. You also had, I was at the council meeting where you came and made your proposal to council, and you had a picture of both the trucks. That would be nice. You had a picture of the Al Roll truck and a picture
Oh,
of
yeah,
the.
Actually, there's a
ABS.
picture of the truck on that third page of what I just gave you.
that map as well.
What's that?
On the last page,
Yeah, but that's the ABF.
that's the ABF, that's the part.
Correct. So, but you had a picture of the Al Roll truck was just a straight truck.
Yeah.
So that's not gonna be a semi, just a straight truck. but I don't know if Alroll has, you know, if you get your deliveries from them always via that straight truck, or if you get semis from them also?
No.
So just show the
We can
straight truck.
specify, we can specify the small truck.
Okay, and then, so then you're gonna, the Alroll truck, you're gonna, the freight hauler, you'll load and unload from the rear. So show how you're gonna do that. But the Alroll truck, you're gonna side load or
I
unload.
did find the 500
So that- Correct, so that's just showing how you're gonna, you know, how you're
Somewhere
gonna
else.
All
maneuver.
right, so on a site plan, detail loading and unloading the two trucks.
Yep, exactly. So then, Ms. Hawk had the stipulations from McKenna about the master plan and the area. What's planning's feeling on that? I know mine.
You're talking about 500 feet or?
Well, the 500 feet is, that we can defer to ZBA, Zoning Board of Appeals.
Right. I agree
So,
with
but the other one would be the inconsistency of the master plan and the allowing another industrial area to go in, allowing another industrial user to go into the C2 district.
that. Right.
But this is already a cluster of industrial users. So do we want to expand that, or do you want to just hold strict to the guidelines that were presented?
Well, basically what we talked about when we did the master plan was a plan to get industrial out of that area.
Right.
So we're kind of like doing a 360-degree thing here. You know?
Yeah, you're not.
Not really.
I think you're going with, it's part of what we started that even 10 years ago was what's, there needs to be something provided to them to go to.
Yeah.
Right.
Even if there's, you got 3 here or 4, well 3, I'm going 3 because of the combined ownership.
Correct.
With no immediate plan of going anywhere. If let's say a site at the south end opened up and a industrial park opened up and then had whatever favorable terms and conditions that would be attractive for those out to relocate, then the goal had been accomplished. Because that's effectively how it's laid out. The
Correct.
time frame isn't there.
Correct.
I don't see 3 of the 4 here going anywhere in any near term.
So both of you are correct.
Yeah, I didn't finish my thought though. I got
Okay,
sorry.
kind of cut off.
So,
Happens to be all the time.
Yeah.
As long as there's somebody else doing it.
The thing about it is even though it's 360 degrees from the master plan, you know, I'm in real estate, and in real estate, it's highest and best use. That building, in my way of looking at it, is made for the use he wants to use it for. The only holdup is maybe the 500 feet and the turning radius of the truck. So I think it fits that area good. So that's my thought. So, you know, it probably sounds like I was against it, now it probably sounds like I'm for it, but.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think,
You know?
I think all of us, and if I may, I think we're all torn. So I think
Yeah.
we're all against it, but we're all for it.
Yeah.
So we want the utilization of the property.
Right.
Am I correct so far?
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes.
I don't see any reason that you'd be against it myself.
Okay, so, and all I'm trying to do is get a consensus. So we're kind of for the utilization of what it is. We're kind of going against the master plans, but as Mr. Sledge pointed out, the master plan was really to create another area and to turn that whole area back into a C2, but we don't have that other area yet. So, and one of the things that we've done in the past, if you can prove that, so there was something in the McKenna guideline, and it was, bear with me a second. Oh, compatibility with adjacent uses. So the adjacent uses are really industrial. So only to the south and to the east, the closest properties are commercial. If I could just kind of throw something in here, Mr. Ezzo, you're still going to occupy a section of that building for your
Always do.
business?
Yeah.
Okay, so in this new parking layout, you're no longer going to be able to park behind your building.
Well,
It's
there's
not-
plenty of parking for.
I understand.
Yeah, okay,
It's not up
fine.
for discussion.
That's fine.
I'm just saying
Yeah.
that you're not going to be able to park behind your building.
Okay.
And you're going to have to actually, when you do your layout, you're going to have to come up with
Yeah.
Mr. Ezzo is how many parking places he needs, and then that's going to have to be designated in that drawing. So that's really all they wanted to.
Yeah, okay, that's fine.
Okay.
At some point in time, I'd like to say a couple of things if I don't shoot myself in the foot in the process. Can I say a few things here?
Sure, yeah, go ahead.
I don't know how familiar some of you people are with my building because the things we're talking about have been going on in this building for 30 years. The basically industrial atmosphere goes on within the building and has been for 30 years. We've had injection mold people producing ATV wheels. That was industrial use. We've had the building been approved for media blasting and auto painting. Even though it never happened, it was approved for it. The building...
That's a C2, that's commercial, that's not industrial.
Yeah, that's exactly, yeah. Okay,
So
but
it's not
it's...
an industrial use.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't know what's light industrial, because that's pretty much what he is.
But it's still industrial.
Okay, all right.
Okay.
Well, anyway, printing. We've done printing in there, and I'm talking about with big 30-inch Harris presses and big folder stitcher trimmer machines. Everything we've done, the trucks that we're talking about have been servicing the building, not quite as frequently as he's going to have serviced the building, but they've been there. They're no strangers to that building. And even the uses that he's talking about, when we talk about, oh, the truck traffic and all that, we're talking about, a few times a month?
Oh, yeah.
We're not talking daily, like the Ace Hardware semi-truck or all the people in the alley that bring in their semi-trucks and service. That's a busy alley there with trucks. What he's doing is very minimal. And so I don't want you to be blowing everything out of proportion. The McKenna and Associates people, I think you're behind the times myself. I don't know that this master plan you've drawn up was drawn up way before the internet and way before.
Mr. Ezzo, let's stick to the issues, and you're
Okay.
getting off track here, so.
Well, it's
you're
not
gonna have
really
to-
off track, but I would have clarified it.
Okay.
But
When you had your
But it's important.
printing going on full swing, you owned the parking lot. So it wasn't like you were using the village parking lot, you owned that property. You sold that property to the village, and the village created the parking lot.
oh yeah, we still did it though, after.
Okay, but most of that was done prior to that. So anyway, okay, so now we're gonna move on, and thank you for your.
All right.
Okay, so, and I apologize because I do not think McKenna is behind the times, and I think McKenna does a great job for us. So. And if you've kind of listened to us, we're really trying. I mean, we're also
No,
between
no, I
a rock
wasn't
and a hard
gonna
place here.
criticize.
So this is not a discussion period, Mark, so please.
Yeah. It's half a thought.
If you would like to be on planning, we have an open seat
If I could qualify, I don't know that I could qualify.
I think you'd have to move into town.
Yes, yeah. You'd have to move in with your mother-in-law.
Oh, boy. I might apply.
I second that.
I might apply then.
Okay, so, okay. We need to keep things light once in a while, but we need to move on. Okay. So the agreement would have to be done, so look over all those things. I think we've covered pretty much everything.
If you don't mind, let me repeat
Sure.
it then.
Yep.
You need the agreement reviewed and signed.
Mhm.
It's the back portion of it, which has to do with the fees going down.
Yeah.
A site plan, revised site plan that has more detail, specifically concern about truck traffic, unloading side or rear unloading, and how that impacts the parking
Right.
scenario.
Correct.
And you want to include parking for the photography. I think that's
Exactly.
I think that's going to be an easy one because his hours are quite different than ours.
Oh, okay. So then, and then the other thing is that they asked for was a kind of a layout of what you're going to do inside the building.
Okay. Floor plan.
Yeah, and then how do we do it as far as the parking requirements? So an industrial user goes by employees. So a commercial user goes by square footage. So how would we do that? So it's an industrial by special approval. So do we go by the industrial guidelines for parking?
Oh, yeah, we would go by the industrial use, yes.
Okay.
Not by the district.
How many parking spaces per employee?
One.
One.
Yeah, so, and then,
That makes
would-
sense, doesn't it?
isn't it, I'm pretty sure that's correct.
Steve can verify.
As I
He's
said,
got-
we
he's got
didn't
his
sit and
manual
review
right
the
here.
back of
So we could research that and get back to you, but I think it's just one per
Well,
employee.
we'll exceed that,
Yeah,
so.
so and then I'm not sure how that works, it's one per employee. I don't know, I think you have to have some customer parking, salesman parking, that type of stuff other than that, but I think you have plenty of parking for what you're gonna do.
Okay.
How many employees do you think you're gonna have on a maximum?
It varies, but I think it'll be 6.
Okay. Okay. So are we good? So a motion, do we need to have a motion to table or to postpone? Or can we just postpone this? Do we need a motion?
Can I ask a question? In the interim, are you sending them to ZBA? Because ZBA is gonna need a 10-day posting.
That was the last.
Can we do that? Can we send him to ZBA before he comes back?
Sure, he would apply himself. We
Well,
wouldn't
we-
need to make any motion. He could just go ahead and start that process before.
Sure, okay.
So he's-
So yeah,
That's already-
if
it's
you
already
can do
fine.
that. So the building inspector can send you, planning can send you, and you can go by yourself. To the
I thought
zoning board of
I thought the
appeals.
ZBA was already applied and scheduled.
Not that I'm aware of.
Was that the council?
No.
No.
Now,
no, zoning
you went to
board.
council, so there's 3 boards now, not just 2. You're gonna get to know all of them.
Actually, keeps going.
Every time the door opens, there's more to the puzzle. We'll get to it. All right.
Okay, you'll need to come to the office and employ zoning application.
All right.
I mean, the ZBA application.
So, and then, one of us should go to that ZBA meeting.
Yeah, if the CBA comes back and doesn't approve that 500 feet, it's a moot point, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And when is that?
Unless you did a text amendment. Like at a later date.
Oh, sure, okay.
Joe,
The
are
other
you-
way
are
is
you
to
on the
do
ZBA?
an amendment to the zoning ordinance.
Okay.
Can the planning commission give them the, I don't know, a note, a recommendation that we would appreciate if they approved it?
And that would
or
be
we-
helpful to the
We would
ZBA.
propose they approve it?
Yeah, that would be helpful for the ZBA.
Okay.
So we have to make a motion of some sort.
Is Paul in the CBA? No.
Yeah, he's chair, he's
Paul's
chair.
the chair.
Yeah,
I say then either in case of that meeting, either you or I then could go.
Ross?
I could
Sure.
go.
yeah.
I'm on the ZBA.
Oh, well, okay, you guys.
Steve's on
Oh.
the ZBA too.
Well,
Mark, talk to them outside of the meeting, but there they are.
Okay, so you want to commission Becky to write a letter to Zoning Board of Appeals and recommendation to do the variance,
To approve the variance.
to approve the variance?
500 foot
Sure.
variance.
Okay. How about a motion to do so?
Also move.
Second?
I'll second it.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Thanks.
Thank you.
And then, I don't know, either Chris or I, or both of us will go, or anybody else who wants to go also. Okay, then I volunteered you, Mr. Sledge?
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Okay, so depending on when it is. Okay, so moving along, now we're to the Belkey property, which is called,
What's got a name?
No, it does not have a name yet.
Still an orphan?
okay, and thank you very much. Okay, so let me. Okay, here we go. So, on to manned restaurant retail sales. Ross, Sam, one of you guys like to kind of say what your intent is?
Just Sam and Ross here. Just a quick synopsis perhaps. We appeared about a month and a half ago. We sought approval of a special event type restaurant in the downtown business district with other occasional uses that were permitted in the C1 district. The board determined that or felt that it was really in the nature of a hall and recommended we come back and do a SALU special approval land use. We submitted an abbreviated site plan that hopefully cleared up maybe some of the issues that was in the first plan that we submitted. We did receive the report from McKenna and are prepared to talk to that. Thanks for the report, appreciate that. And so now we're seeking the special approval to not only do the restaurant, but any of the intended uses in the C1 district without having to pursue a guarantee or surety bond of some type.
Just talk louder. You do that, make it. So they've got a ADA ramp. So the sidewalk is 9 feet wide, the main section of sidewalk is 48. So it's 60 inches from the building to that 48 entrance. So then in that 60 inches, they have some walkways that go into doorways, there's stairways, stairs going in. And so they're actually on this side of the 60. And they're also proposing a air conditioning unit in there. So when the ramp is going there. Okay. So if you guys have a copy, you said you've seen this stuff from McKenna?
Yeah.
Okay, so, has anybody got anything that they want to comment on?
This ramp, that's not gonna be removed, right? I mean, it's not like at night you're gonna pull it in the building or something.
No, I would call it a semi-permanent ramp, but the removal component of it was part of the agreement with the village council that if we ever vacated the property, we would take that out.
Okay.
And if you remember, the first set of drawings came in and it showed concrete.
Yeah.
We really don't want to put concrete in there because we have to excavate, pour a footer, build it up, and to take that out would be cost prohibitive for us. We would put up a womanized wood type ramp. The council wanted us to make sure that we put the ramp designed through Dennis and the village engineer, which we would do before we put it up. So it would all be approved to ADA compliant specifications. But the nature of the removal is simply that if we sell, move on, whatever, that at the village's discretion, they would say take it out, we would take it out. Much easier to take out a wood ramp than it is a
Does this
So-
have a rail on it?
It would have a rail on it, but that would be detachable, and we would just, everything would go away, so it would be as if there was never a ramp there to begin with. So that's the removable feature of it. It's not, we're not rolling it up at night, every night and sticking it in the back.
Okay. Yeah, 'cause she asked the question, the removable ramp and where it will be stored when it's not being used, basically, so that's why I asked it.
Yeah, I can end up in a possible confusion. It's meant to be there semi-permanently unless we move.
So it's permanent until you vacate.
Yes.
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay.
So that was under, Mr. Belkey said it was under council guidelines. It was in the agreement.
Yeah, agreement for access and use of public right of way dated December 2013 with the village.
Okay.
Since we talked about the ramp, I talked with Mr. Lemieux, our building inspector, briefly today, and it wasn't stated anywhere as to what the width of that ramp was supposed to be. It just said ADA compliant.
Right.
So ADA compliant is 44 inches. So I'd like to stipulate in the special approval land use that the ramp is not to exceed 48 inches. So that gives you 4 inches for a handrail.
Yeah, I think the problem then will be that there needs to be a platform at the top of the
Landing.
ramp.
Correct.
A landing that has I believe it's a 5-foot ramp, because there's gotta be a turning radius for the wheelchair if it goes up there. The area of perhaps most concern is there's a water main shut off that's there on the sidewalk, and we would not exceed that, which I believe is just over 5 feet.
You should do fine.
What we can't do is, I went out and physically measured everything today.
Mm.
So the concrete is 9 foot from the building. There was a 4 foot, you know how we did the main walkways in the sign ordinance? We specified that you had to, whether it was 4 foot or 5 foot, you had to keep that main walkway open no matter what. So that was, no matter what happened, if you had a sign or anything protruding onto the concrete, that main section had to be open. So the main section has to be open, but that doesn't mean you can build right up to it.
Right.
So you can't have a 4 foot sidewalk and a handrail immediately adjacent to that, because anybody walking down the sidewalk is now going to smack into the handrail. Or, so that there has to be a setback.
A buffer.
So, in talking to Mr. Lemieux, he said 44 inches, so that's the guideline I have. And if it's gonna be any different than that, then we need to have that specified.
Okay.
Because I don't wanna approve you with a 5 foot landing.
Right.
Because there's no room for handrail, and now you're encroaching in that main sidewalk.
Yeah, I don't have my drawing with me. Well, maybe Sam does, she'll pull it out, just to see, again, what the dimensions on it are. The only concern I would have is if it's, and I assume Dennis is looking at the ADA regulations too, and so if that's what it's stipulating, then I'm happy with it. Let me just take a look. It doesn't really say.
So it didn't, he just kept on reiterating the 44 inches. So he said that was a minimum. So the 40, and I said that was an ID. So, and I said, well, I'm looking for an OD. So
Right.
So that's where I came up with the 48, because we're concerned not with the ID, the inside dimension, but the outside
Right, the outside
dimension.
dimension, right.
So I guess we have to clarify what that landing is gonna be, because the ramp itself could be 44, but if the landing has to be larger for a turning radius, then we need to step back and see what we're gonna do.
Yeah, it's,
I know at Burns, when he had to put his on, he doesn't have a landing. The width of the ramp is the same all the way up to the platform where you would turn to go into the door. So,
That's true, yeah.
Right, his
Okay.
ramp wasn't the right.
So, minimum clear width of the, it's only go, the ADA only has clear width.
So they don't have a turning radius on
But I get that, so the clear width is 36 inches.
yeah. I was
And
gonna
they
say
do that
it's-
because a wheelchair standard is 32.
Okay,
You can go, actually, you can all the way down to, you can get approved all the way down to 26, that just means you can't put your fingers on the outside of the wheelchair. The landings get to be tricky, because then it goes into, it is looking for a 60-inch run, but it didn't say which direction. So to Ross's point, we make ours 42 with 60 long.
well, and they
So
can.
from
you
the
can-
door,
Yep,
you are turning into the long side of the ramp.
so you can easily do the 60 alongside your building.
Lengthwise,
You
yeah.
just couldn't do the 60 out from your building.
Yeah, and I wanna say that that's the way it is, I just,
I believe that's how your,
yeah.
you don't have your concrete drawing, do you? Do you have that, Becky?
Let's see, yeah, maybe that's where it is that page. Sounds good, she brought everything.
Yeah, because
So it's,
it never specified on the initial drawing what that ramp was.
This one, that's right
um,
there. Then that's all I got. I mean, if it's not on that, I don't have it.
I have the dimensions, but I don't have them here. So it is, the rampway is 6 feet long.
looks like
Yeah,
it's
but
the
they're
same
not-
width,
they're
looks like
not
the same
saying the
width
width.
all the way from up the landing all the way down.
Right.
It does, it's not coming out here.
Right.
Right, that's-
Okay,
Okay.
well,
All right, so it depends on which direction the door opens.
what does?
Door opens in.
So the door opens in,
Yeah.
push side is in. If you're coming from the side, from the street side, it's 42 deep,
That's the concrete.
54 inches long.
Okay, and I
So
think
we're
we're,
showing this.
yeah, that's, I just couldn't, I can't remember what exactly the
And
dimensions I have.
Y can go to 40, so the 42 can go to 48 if the door has both a latch and a closing.
It's got a latch
All right,
but not an automatic closure.
okay, so you're in that
Should be
40,
okay.
I think you're fine.
Okay, so what we'll, if it's all right with everybody, we'd approve it at the 48. If it exceeds that 48, then it needs to come back to us,
That's good.
Okay.
okay? Okay, so now the next thing is traffic impact. So, Ms. Belkey and I discussed the loading and unloading previously, so that's gonna be done in the alley, but since your building is close to the end of the alley, actually it is at the end of the alley, your unloading and unloading is really gonna have to take place behind your neighbor's property and not yours.
Right.
So and that's gonna be partly your policing of your delivery drivers to not allow them to intrude on the sidewalk or the street. So you can never shut down either walkway or the street. So that will be in your special approval land use.
Question was raised then on what kind of vehicles that they're gonna be using for bringing stuff in.
I don't know that I
Sure.
can tell you specifically at this point what type of vehicles, but to somebody else's point, there are semi-tractors in there quite regularly. It's going to be that size or less. I can't imagine it's going to be a semi-tractor, probably some type of a step van or something like that. But so I think the issue is what you brought up, Ben, is simply that whatever is in there can't intrude past the edge of the building into the sidewalk area. Because the types of vehicles that could potentially be there are already going through there. This gentleman has stuff that's gonna go through there that's potentially gonna be that big. So I think the real issue is, don't let them protrude, which we would not do.
So you foresee using semis?
No, I would not expect it, but I don't exactly, we're not set up at this point to really tell you what kind of
Plus, the
vehicles. I'm
nature of
gonna
an
have.
on-demand restaurant, it's not gonna be like Papa's where we have a 4-page menu and we have to keep all those items in stock, so I need
Yeah.
a truck to come every couple of days.
Right.
It's not gonna be like that. So there might be a dinner on Tuesday and there might be one on Saturday. I'm probably going to the grocery store and bringing it in my car, right? I mean,
So it's
you
more
know-
likely a van.
It
than
can't be
is
as
a
much
semi.
as a Papa's or the
Yeah.
Ace Hardware.
Yeah.
No.
This is a lot smaller than what's being used all up and down that alley.
No, I know.
That's
Yeah.
correct.
Yeah.
So it's basically gonna be congruent what's being used in the alley.
Right.
So, in the Belkey's defense, they don't really know what kind of trucks they're gonna have, because they really don't even know what the usage is gonna be
Yeah,
yet.
yeah.
So that's the whole real of doing the haul.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But we're well
It'll
aware
be
of the
something that'll
requirement.
fit in the alley though.
Yeah, yeah,
Right.
yeah.
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 I don't see
So,
that.
so your point about watching the sidewalk and
Mhm.
public right of way, I think is really the operative issue here. And we would certainly take steps to ensure, as you say, it's policed.
Mhm. So the other thing that we discussed was the screening on your air conditioning unit.
Right.
So again, nothing can protrude into that 48 inches of the main sidewalk.
Right.
So that means you can't have doors.
Right.
So if you open the door, it protrude. So you're gonna have to have removable panels,
Or it could open up.
I would think it could.
back.
or you could open up to
within
the
footprint.
south. Sure.
But I know the drawing has a picture with the doors opening out. We would not have done it that way. So
Correct.
to your point, in fact, I like the removable better than having a hinged door, because those get torn off and that kind of stuff.
Well, and you really don't know where the access panel is gonna be, where the guy's gonna work. So
Right.
really, we had talked about minimizing that setback or that intrusion onto the sidewalk.
Right.
And you could do that just with removable panels.
Yeah,
So then that way you just have posts that would be there, and whoever is working on it could have full access,
right,
except on the building side.
right.
So, and they would position it so that you could do 3 sides, but, and then I guess if you wanted to, you could have the 2 panels
On the,
hinge on the end and,
yeah,
you know, so, but I'd like that to be in the special approval also. And I don't know what you can do, what the size of your unit's gonna be. I know that units come in varying sizes, so you might be able to say, okay, I only have this much room, I need a unit this size.
right.
I don't know what everybody's feeling is, but I think that if we can stay within that 48 inches, we would be better.
Yeah, there was previously there was an enclosure back there that was about 48 inches, which we took out because it was starting to fall apart. So
And that was for their trash.
that was for their trash, yeah. So this would be smaller and just used to screen the air conditioning unit and the other utilities that would be in that area. And we want to get it away from the alley. One of the folks on the council had expressed a concern about sightline, and I would agree with him. Yeah, so we want to keep the fence as low as possible, get it away from the alley, and I like your idea about the removable for access. It makes too much sense.
Okay.
Said there's an issue in here about landscaping. We're most happy to put some trees in there, but the village council controls the plantings along the medium, and they're really directing us as to what we can and can't do. So they say it's good, we're happy to put a couple screening trees in there. Right now, I don't think they allow us for
If there were, trust me, I'd have one there.
it.
Yeah, let's do that.
I would like to.
Yeah.
Did you happen to bring pictures of your
Yeah.
lighting? Oh, cool. Okay, good. So I'd like to submit those as the lighting you're gonna use.
Well, these
right
are
in your documentation.
representative.
It's representative, but
samples.
it's pretty
Okay,
close.
good, good,
It's-
sure.
Okay.
So it
Not the
doesn't
right
have to be,
color.
it's not gonna be exactly that manufacturer, but similar design.
Yes.
Okay,
Right.
all right,
So-
so maybe, I've seen it, so.
This is
Okay.
for the one on the front that would go on the sign band, and
Yeah.
then this would be the ones that Russ was calling the security lights.
Yeah.
So
Those are in the alley?
there'd be one in the alley, and I think they were over the
We
doors in
have
Fulton.
3 doors on the side. One of the doors leads up into the apartments. One door goes into the kitchen, and one door is where the ADA compliant ramp is going to be. We look at those lights as safety and security lights, so they're going to point directly down. The light in the alleyway is going to be similar, as it's just going to point down over the back double door. The bulbs are going to be enclosed within the lamp itself, so you're not going to see the bulb. It'll just direct the light down. The ones in the front are going to reflect on the sign band to illustrate the name of the business.
Okay.
And so they'll face inward and not outward.
Now, is Amy asking for an exterior drawing with those lights on it so she can see the location?
I don't believe that was the case, it was more, and I'm,
It was lumens or something. It was amount
it,
of-
because it's on a corner, it's actually on 2 corners,
Right.
because you have the alley and Main Street in Fulton. There was a big issue with light pollution,
Yeah.
so we came up with this where there isn't any light other than shining
On the
right where it
building.
needs to be. So it's shining on the building, you're not gonna be able to drive by and see that light.
Yeah, no
You're just
glare.
gonna see it illuminated on the building. Same thing with the entry, exit doors, you're not gonna see that light. You're just gonna see it, the ground illuminated and around it illuminated, but you're not gonna, it's not like a wall pack,
Yeah.
you know, where you
Okay.
actually see that light. And it isn't gonna broadcast other than its area.
Okay, good. Now, another thing she made some comment, I don't know exactly what it is, but on the awnings, is she just looking for some kind of description of what these awnings are gonna look like? Or does she actually wanna see them on a drawing or?
We did kind of have that in the first iteration of the paperwork we provided. They're going to be cotton or cloth type awnings, old style. I'm not looking for any plastic type of awning, so it's going to be very much traditional old style. We understand it can't protrude more than, I believe it's 50% into the right-of-way. It's going to hang out from the sign band down across the front facade of the building. No illumination on it, no printing or anything like that. I just want a traditional
You're
awning.
gonna have lights up underneath it? like-
Well, so there'll be the gooseneck type lights
I'm
that.
talking about like tubes, you're not gonna
No.
have tubes or anything?
No. We want this to look 1890s,
Yeah.
and that would blow it. So we want to keep it very
No,
traditional.
that's great.
Yeah.
That's gonna look nice.
Thanks.
Hope so.
And I believe awnings, just like the signage that indicates here, and because we don't have a name yet, I can't tell you exactly what the signage is, but we understand what the limitations are of the signage, and since it's a permittable process, all that would be laid out, and Dennis would be the approval or denier of that drawing for the sign.
Okay.
So then, you know that you'd have to have a building permit to do the awning, an electrical permit to do the lighting.
Yep.
And the awning has to be flame retardant.
Yep.
So, and then the lights, I know we have a picture, but it doesn't show the bulb, so you wanna make sure that that bulb doesn't protrude.
It's recessed
past-
within
You have
the-
to make
yeah.
sure it's recessed in the head. So, I'm kinda sure, I'm kinda thinking this one is, I'm not sure about this one, but just whatever,
Yeah.
just check it out before you buy them.
Yep.
Okay.
So if there's nothing else on the last page, of the McKenna documentation as a recommendation for the special approval land use.
Yes. The only other item that we didn't discuss yet was,
Thanks.
just the, compatibility with adjacent uses. What the hours of operation would be, and if there'd be any amplified music for events, that those maybe would be limited by this body.
Have you thought of your hours of operation?
No, I would,
On page 4.
Noise if they ran.
Not really,
If they're, yeah, but if they're
The-
really.
the village has-
It'd be to them.
has hours of, what's the word I'm looking for? Quiet time and so on, it would be well within that. Of course, we've got a tenant upstairs, and we want to be mindful of him. So there is going to be sound deadening inside of the ceiling area, in addition to the fire break that's up there. So that'll all go in. I want to say, I'm not quite sure, but I want to say that quiet hours are 2300, 11 o'clock at night. And we would certainly I think it's a little bit later on weekends, but I have to go and reference that, but it would certainly be within those. We want to go home and go to bed too, so we're not going to keep the place cranking until 2 in the morning.
Yeah, most halls anymore shut down at midnight.
Yeah.
There's not really many people that stay open later than that. And in your hall usage, you're gonna kind of be dictated by your clientele.
If there's a Super Bowl party or something like that, or an Oscar party, it may go a little bit later, but we will observe the hours, the quiet hours, that the village already has out there.
Yeah. Well, the unofficial, I think, is 8 o'clock. It's pretty dead
I
after
wish it
that.
was, yeah. Maybe not by design, but that's. And we would, I don't know of any plans for amplified music at this time. What's that?
Well, your upstairs tenants might not care for that anyway, so.
Whatever our code board is.
He's a good
There's
tenant.
always
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Okay, all right, okay. Okay, so is there any more discussion before we go into the stipulations? Okay, so there is a list of recommendations by McKenna, and Lori, want to read that?
Sure. Well, so for this approval, two motions are needed. One would be for the special land use, and then the second would be for the site plan. And the special land use would come first. So that's on page 4, and we listed a couple conditions for that approval that we're recommending. We did talk about the hours of operation, so maybe attaching those quiet hours to this. Site plan approval, that these are additional stipulations that we would be adding on right now. That the special land use would be non-transferable, and that the ramp would not exceed 48 inches in width.
And the, don't block the sidewalk. Yeah.
Sure, that the loading and unloading would not block the street or sidewalk and extend into the right of way.
And the screening for the air conditioner wouldn't.
Right.
Yeah, we should add that too.
And that landscaping would be addressed to the satisfaction of the council for the inclusion of the street trees.
Yeah, we probably should state the lighting.
And the awnings?
Well, the awnings would be a permit.
Okay, so that's not a problem then.
Yeah.
Loading and signage would be done through a separate.
And the signage, you know that since you are on a corner, you do get 10% of the first floor fascia on both street sides.
Right.
So, but you can't exceed that. And if you, any type of signage, whether it be on the wall, on your awning, or in the window, constitutes the 10%. The only thing that wouldn't go to the 10% would be an event sign that would be in the window and only a temporary sign.
Right.
You know, so like you're doing a special, I'm gonna have cabbage soup Friday, you know, so that, not saying you're gonna have cabbage soup Friday, but, you know.
Sounds like a good idea. Yeah.
Okay.
Just let me clarify though.
Sure.
So the 10% could be the protruding sign and lettering in the windows. I mean, it just can't be
It could
more.
be a combination.
Yeah, combination.
It just can't, the total can't exceed the 10%.
Yeah, yeah, I think that's easy. Yeah. I calculated the square footage and it's.
Yep.
So, but I'm not clear with the, you say under separate applications for awnings and signs, is that application to planning commission or just a permit?
No.
You can do that through Dennis. Since you don't really have a name yet or what you're gonna do, then we can't we don't wanna hold the process up just till you come and do that. So it's fairly common for us to just defer to Dennis.
Yeah.
So you can do that right through him.
Great.
Okay, so,
What about the lights? What do you want to say about the lights?
Balls.
there'll be, how about we'll call them a bulb type light, because I don't want to say they're incandescent or compact fluorescent, because you might use LEDs.
Yeah.
So we'll just call it a bulb type. Not to protrude past the, what would you call that?
Edge of the fixture.
Edge of the fixture? Edge of the
Shield.
bonnet. How's that?
Shield, probably a good one, if you do one.
Yeah. Sound good? Okay. Oh, fully shielded. That's more professional.
Lights will be.
That's why you make the
fully
big ones.
shielded. Will be fully shielded bulb type lights?
Correct, yes.
Okay, wait, because I probably missed one.
Yeah.
What are we gonna say about the landscaping? Because that's for the property, that's really not,
I don't think we should even include it.
I didn't think so.
Because you really don't have any property of your own to landscape, so, you know, anything that you do would be by council approval. So, okay. So since you're writing this, what have you got?
The SALU is non-transferable.
Yep.
The ADA ramp is not to exceed 48 inches.
In width?
Delivery trucks are not to protrude into the sidewalk area.
Yep.
Screening for AC not to protrude into the sidewalk area.
Maximum 48 inches?
And lights will be fully shielded bulb type light. Exterior lights.
Yep, and the ramp is to be wood construction and removable on,
Vacation on premises.
yeah, a vacation of,
So every time Ross goes on vacation, you have to take it out.
yeah,
Sorry, he doesn't go on
So you're not going on vacation?
vacating the property.
No, no.
For
Maybe pull those next trees out of
the
everything.
session of business. And I don't really think we need to do anything with the awnings or the signage. That's just goes to the goes to Dennis, and that's the ordinance.
Okay, so first we need a motion to approve the SALU with those conditions.
So, okay, let's read the stipulations again, so everybody's clear what we're making a motion on.
The special approval land use is non-transferable. The ADA ramp is not to exceed 48 inches in width. It is to be wood construction and removable on cessation of business. Delivery trucks not to protrude into the sidewalk area. Screening for air conditioner not to protrude into sidewalk area and be a maximum of 48 inches. Exterior lights will be fully shielded bulb type lights.
Sound good? Okay, everybody accepting of that? Any discussion? Motion to approve as presented?
Also move.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Okay,
Now-
first step.
Now we have to approve the site plan.
Yeah, okay. So now, for this special approval land use, that will require signatures, so once we get it drawn, you'll sign it, I'll sign it, you get a copy, the village gets a copy, and the building inspector gets a copy.
And good luck, I hope it works.
Yes, okay, we're not done yet.
Oh,
Okay.
that's my bedtime.
I know, and we're not done.
yet.
We're not done yet. And we have a DDA budget to approve. Okay, so, now the site plan approval. So, can we just say the site, we approve the site plan,
Contingent on
as
the special-
presented with the special approval land use stipulations?
Yeah, contingent on the special land use, and it will just go, it'll transfer back to the conditions that you outlined in the special land use.
Okay, so we're approving it,
Contingent on the SALU.
okay, all right,
Got it.
But those conditions are filled, yep.
okay.
5.
Okay, so, who's gonna make the motion? So you want Becky to read the?
Yes.
Yeah, read it.
Motion
Motion
again?
to approve site plan application contingent on the SALU for 2301010 Main Street by
So moved.
So we need a name.
Patterson, seconded.
Second.
Any discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Congratulations.
Woo-hoo!
Now we're done.
Now you're done.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. We're all hungry.
All right.
Cabbage soup on
Cabbage soup,
Friday.
We're gonna invite you all in for cabbage soup. It'll happen, no lie.
My wife will not like you on Saturday.
Yeah, why do you have to pick that one? I don't know.
They give you a choice, cabbage
Oh.
soup or.
Okay, so it's late, we have to move on. So Vinegar Foods Armada, I'm sorry it took a long time, but it's a big meeting. So your name is?
Mike Williams.
Mike Williams. So, and you're here representing Vinegar Foods? Okay, so Mike, can you kind of give us a little lowdown on your project?
My project and what I'm doing for it, or?
Well, you're here representing Vinegar, so whatever, as a representative of Vinegar, we're looking for what they're doing. I'm not sure what your position is.
You got it?
My position for the company, actually, I'm the general manager for all the stores. I actually run all the operations stuff, everything. Mike, actually, the owner, actually handles all the building, truck, you know, all that stuff. I'm here basically to give you guys any insight you needed on what we got going, and then go from there.
Okay. So, and you're going to open this up as a grocery store, hardware store?
Grocery hardware, yes, combo.
Okay. So, now everybody's kind of looking at the plans. I'm a little confused, not hard to do, but the square footage that you put in your plan that is actually going to be your, grocery store, hardware store, floor space. The usable floor space, so the customer floor space, so your sales area. You've got that as 13,800 square feet and a 20,000 square foot building, and there's not, there's no dimensions to verify that. So, and the reason that I bring it up, your parking requirements go by that calculation. So there's a 3.25 parking spots per 1,000 square feet. So, that being said, we need to verify that your calculation is correct. There's also something on the front end of your drawing on the Main Street side. We're assuming that you have the Main Street and it says center line of the street, and I'm assuming that the heavy dotted line that you have is the end of the easement, but nothing states that, and it doesn't show where the sidewalk is.
Okay.
So we really don't know what that line represents. So then there's another issue with the drawing. So there's an existing retail building, that's the strip mall section to the west side of the property. I understand that you're doing having the property surveyed. So if this is correct, your Mr. Vinegar has bought all the parking for the whole complex, leaving none to the existing strip mall. So that's really good for him and really bad for the strip mall guys. So something needs to be, that needs to be addressed somehow, correct? So the planner said something about a shared parking agreement. That's really not your end. It would be really for the owner of the strip mall. So it would behoove, so how about you explaining that?
Well, I think to start with, we need to see where the correct parcel lines are, and what parking we do have on site, because we would like to have an accurate calculation of the grocery store's parking and then the retail to the north parking, so that we can make a correct determination of how many spaces are needed, what would be shared, if there would be any easement necessary for the access to the site, and then from those parking spaces, we could determine, how many handicap, ADA accessible spaces we need, if we can take any out for landscaping, that kind of thing.
Okay.
So it would help to have just the complete picture moving forward.
And I wouldn't do any of that until you get your survey done. So you want to kind of go over your stipulations?
Sure. I think, although in our recommendation, if you look through, there's a number of items listed, and it can seem like a lot, but many of these are just minor items that need to be clarified, and depending on how the commission feels regarding these, either postpone this for a revised plan or approve for administrative review. Number 1 and 2 deal with what Ben just mentioned regarding having all the dimensions shown on here, having the survey showing the sidewalk in the right-of-way area, so we can get a better understanding of this space. We did speak with the architect and on the parking space layout for the parking lot, and the possibility of having 90-degree spaces, that there might be room for that. He seemed to think that was his gut instinct as well. The restriping of spaces either way, and if it is to stay the one-way circulation, to be restriping those arrows for directional guidance. Number 4 is the location of the loading space. They are proposing to do some deliveries in the front. Loading spaces are required to be in the rear or the side of the building. They can be permitted in the front, provided that the Planning Commission makes a determination that it's appropriate for the site. There are some items to be addressed with the proposed design of the building. In my conversations with the architect, he seemed to think that painting the entire building the same unified color would be reasonable. And then in terms of the materials used, there is a materials percentage table in the ordinance. And he talked about one of the newer stores in Almena, is that correct? Okay. That there was some stone used and stone used on the pillars and like on the backsplash. So incorporating some of those elements into it. Identifying the rooftop equipment and if it's visible from Main Street, just on the elevation. That the building colors would be presented to this commission for their review. Streetscape design, really just making sure that the sidewalk in the right of way is maintained here. Talked about the building facade materials. If any exterior building lighting is proposed, it should be shown on the elevation, and then a cut sheet similar to what was done tonight or to be presented so that we can make sure that it's in keeping with the character and that it's fully shielded. Right now there is no landscaping or screening provided on site, and the review talks about the addition of a green belt along Main Street, which would really help soften the site, soften the parking lot, provide a nice entrance for those that are coming eastbound into the downtown, and it would also act as a nice buffer for the residences who are looking directly at the parking lot. And that could be done by the removal of several of these parking spaces just along the front. But that would also play into how many parking spaces are needed for the site, which we still need some additional information for. There is an existing chain link fence that runs along the east boundary of the site. Chain link fences in the front yard, or any fence for that matter in the front yard, has a maximum height of 3 feet. But this is something that perhaps could be addressed long term, that would maybe come into compliance after 6 months or after a year or something like that, should you find that satisfactory. And then we also just needed some additional details on how the trash is collected and disposed of on the site, what that enclosure looks like, and then signage would be done through a separate application.
Okay, thanks, Laura. There is a letter of intent that goes along with it, and some of the questions, whoever wrote this did a pretty good job. So they've listed what's going to transpire in the building, how they're going to train the employees, how many employees they're going to have, the hours of operation, kind of how the business is going to be run. So this, I wish everybody had the letter as good as that.
Thank you.
So you're welcome, and thank you. So now some of the things that Laura stated we would like to see, but you can't do that at this time of year. So I would hope that the Planning Commission maybe would give you a time frame to get that done, so you have a construction season more conducive to doing that. I mean, nobody wants to go out and paint in 10-degree weather, or and we do know that the building has suffered from lack of maintenance for a long time. So there's a lot to do. I don't know how anybody else feels, but I think a timeline would be I think it would be nice for us to give you time to get everything done. So even in this letter, it says that you're going to address the outside of the building as weather permits, or something like that. So again, the letter does a whole lot.
Sure.
So anybody else have anything to say? Yes?
I'm glancing at the blueprint and I don't see the ingress and egress easement that goes to Fulton. Did you buy that too?
I don't think you did.
Okay.
There isn't one.
There is one.
Isn't there a street that actually goes?
There's it's an ingress, an easement that goes back in between the two, between that house.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's like a private drive
Yeah.
almost.
Right, so I just didn't know, I wanted.
I don't think you did. You know, if I believe that somebody else's, somebody else's property right there, if I recall.
Cordy's.
Yeah.
But I didn't know if you.
Just bought the building.
Okay.
Okay, so, did you get a copy of this?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, good. So then, what we're gonna do is postpone again. So, so then you could kind of address the things that we've come up with. As far as the parking goes, once you kind of solidify your, the numbers of the, your, what are you calling it, sales area? Do that computation of the 3.25, that's a minimum, and I think 3.75, if I'm correct, is a maximum. So that's your parking requirements, and that would also include your customers and employees in that computation. Am I correct? And then the handicap, how many, the ADA?
Yeah, as the site plan is proposed right now, we are deficient in one ADA compliant, or ADA space. But if we moved it down to the minimum based on the square footage you provided, which might change, then we are compliant. So there's a.
But what's the requirement? Isn't it 1 per 20? So there's a formula for that too.
Right.
And as far as the, what do you guys feel, what's your feeling on the green space in the front? It would just as soon have the parking. If you don't want to delete parking, have a green space, but if you can delete the parking and have the green space, then maybe look at it at some point. But I think meeting your parking requirements are paramount first. How's everybody else feel with that?
Absolutely.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
It
is paramount.
You don't need to know what question was.
No, I know you're talking about parking. I was trying to find the part that says that what the ADA, how many parking spots you have to have.
For every 25 spaces, you need to have an additional
Mike.
ADA
Per
space.
25
I've worked with
spaces?
Jerry for years.
Okay.
Jerry Binkier,
Okay.
GM buyer.
Gotcha.
So then if you had over 50 spaces, you'd need another space.
Okay.
So it's 20, per 20, 188 space per 25. So that would actually be 52 if you had over 52, because it's a 25 plus, correct?
Well, less than 25, you need one. 25 to 49, you need two. Over 50 to 74, you need three.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Isn't there a big light pole right in the middle of this parking somewhere?
You know, I went over there today and measured fences, and looked at the fencing.
4 feet?
And I don't, for how many years I've been going into
Yeah,
that
they're right in the
store.
middle of the parking lot, there's
Yeah.
a big
Yeah.
tower.
Right in here somewhere.
Yeah, that's not
big
on here
cement
either.
enclosure.
So that probably should be on here.
Yeah, so you do need to show parking lighting. So your lot lighting, what your lot lighting is gonna be.
You measure the fence at 4 feet?
There's 3 fences. So I didn't measure the fence at the bank because it's piled with snow.
I couldn't get to it either.
But the fence where the open lot is 4 foot.
Yeah.
Then there's the privacy fence that's actually owned by the homeowners. And then the fence further down is 3 foot.
Yeah, and then there's that retaining wall or whatever that is.
Correct. The fence is on top of the retaining
Yeah,
wall.
it's on top of that, yeah.
Yeah. So you're gonna have issues with the retaining wall at some point in time too, but you know, that's not for us at this point in time. But we're very glad that somebody is coming in and putting a grocery store back in our town.
Yes.
We're happy to be here.
Yeah.
That'll be good.
I did snoop around their Almont store 3 weeks ago. And I met both of them. They caught me snooping, so they took me in the back. And no, I got a chance to talk to Mike and Mike.
I think he just got a glimpse of the service we offer too and provide too.
Yeah.
And, you know, as a regular customer, I walked right up to him, you know, like,
Yeah, yeah, and I want to see how it laid out with the hardware store and the grocery store together, and how what's our operation look like basically. It's real clean. It's real squared away. They obviously take some time in screening people that work there because they're very professional.
They are.
So I was pleased, and the front facade looks really nice. I don't know how much change you had to make in that, but
quite a bit. 'Cause it used to be, have any of you ever seen the front facade or no? Of the Almond store? That's gonna be the same, well, that's what we're shooting for.
Similar,
You'll
yeah.
do it yourself
For this?
Well, yeah, now, is that when it's the old, it was, became
That's
the
what it sounds like.
That's
Yeah.
what the front of it looks like right
Right.
there. You know? So.
I think it's been on Facebook lately.
Yeah, probably. is. But, yeah, you know.
Is there anything else?
Yeah, I can't get
Okay.
What's been-
So Laura just said, if you have any questions, has anybody from your outfit been in contact with McKenna?
I have no clue.
Okay, so if you do need to, then you can do so.
Okay.
But if you do have contact with her, it's gonna cost you money,
Sure.
so, but feel free,
All right.
they'll be glad. Okay, so, any questions from the board or,
I think so.
okay? So we're gonna just postpone this until hopefully the next meeting. We come in with further documentation.
this is gonna have to be re-detailed, right?
Correct, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Put that light pole in there.
Put that light pole in there, yeah.
Light bulb, some more dimensions.
And just so you know, our next meeting is, you lost a whole week because this meeting's late. So the
Yeah.
next meeting is only like 3 weeks away.
Okay.
It can't be the first Monday of next week.
First Monday in March.
March 2nd.
Okay, so moving right along again. We're, okay, so it's 9:30 and thanks, and if you do have any questions, just get a hold of somebody and we'll be glad to help.
Good one, thank you.
Okay, good. I was over to the new store today and we had a flurry of people in there working, so.
Yeah, you know, the Almond store we started in that late January, we were open June 6th, so that was a lot bigger.
Oh, okay, so there is one thing that, I'm sorry, I can't remember your name.
Me? Mike. Yeah.
Okay, so, with the grocery store, you bought the liquor license. So, since the grocery store has been closed for over a year, the liquor license, both you guys are in the same boat. So your liquor license, you still have, but you can't sell liquor out of your store. So if you're gonna open up tomorrow, you couldn't do it. By the time you're gonna open up, we'll probably have done this. And I'm sure this is kind of why you're here. And if you heard at the beginning of the meeting, council did approve to separate it. And we'll start the process before April 1st, but our new budget year is April 1st. So we can't spend any money prior to that. So hopefully by May or June, we should be able to have something. What do you think?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
That should be doable on your end too?
Yes, as soon as you wanna start, we'll get it to me.
Okay, all right.
the only thing that's holding us up is the budget, right?
Pretty much,
Yeah.
yeah. So we've got approval.
You could go, we'll, as soon as you're ready, the council will be ready.
Well, and actually,
It just works out better than the new budget, but I don't wanna stop anything.
well,
It's
that
only
was
gonna be a way.
my thing today, and why before you left, and so since both of you are here and both of you are affected, I wanted to bring that up. So if it's okay with the planning commission, I'd like to authorize Laura and Amy to get started on the process of redoing the ordinance for the liquor ordinance, the setbacks.
For
So-
review at your March meeting.
Correct. So if we could do that, that would be great. The only setback we have is that we're not gonna be able to pay you till after.
Just don't bill us
April
till
1st.
after.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. But if we do it for March meeting, you're gonna bill us sometime probably in March, and the bill will be due in April. So
That's
it,
not the way accounting works.
No.
I really hate to tell you, that's not.
No.
Date the bill April 1st.
huh?
Date the bill.
Oh, date, okay, so you got that one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, do they know what we want to change it to?
Do you know what you want to do?
No.
Good question.
No,
There you
I-
go.
Amy and I talked about it, so, if there's a question, how about we'll have it before, I don't know. Let me talk to her and find out what's going on, and I'll have Becky email everybody to, so that we have a correspondence going, so that we could maybe have it for March's meeting.
Okay.
you
Do we
know.
have to have feet in it at all?
I don't know.
Okay.
I would say, I think the first thing is let them pull out whatever it is in the state.
Sure. Well, the state is 1,000 feet, but they do allow a variance.
Correct.
Their variance is that you get
Approvals
approval from the,
churches,
Change it to 500 feet.
centers and
Yeah.
stuff like that.
You know?
Yeah.
Yes.
from the people within that area.
You're just getting a beer and wine, right? Yeah, okay.
You're not getting you didn't buy the liquor license?
I don't know if that's where that's at even.
Okay, because that was part of
They
it.
used to have packaged liquor.
They
there.
did have
I don't
packaged
know.
liquor.
Couldn't even tell you where that's at though. Sorry.
Okay, all right, okay.
You know?
So, but it doesn't matter if you have the packaged liquor or just beer and wine, both of them are gonna fall under this ordinance. So, and where you're at now, what's your estimated opening time?
I'm looking at Memorial Week.
Okay,
Wow.
well then we're gonna be in good, we're gonna be in good standing, so hopefully, Mike, you're happy, because you're actually seeing something.
Yeah.
Even though you didn't see it, the wheels were turning.
You're going for the same license, SDM?
Yeah.
Yeah, beer and wine.
Okay,
Yeah, sure.
all right, thank you.
See you, Mike.
But they had liquor.
Is that a good one?
See you, Mike.
They usually.
Okay.
This is nice. We're
Yeah,
one day
Mike
behind.
It's easy. Cordy. It's got the
There you
license.
go.
Yeah,
You can sell
But
those.
neither of them are
thought
going
she
Good luck.
to-
Thank you.
I don't know.
Have a good one.
All right, so
okay,
Yeah, that's rumored, but I don't know.
what's that?
What
that was
happened
like
with the
months
liquor
ago.
license?
I don't know.
So that was just a rumor and innuendo.
I think the big thing is what's gonna happen with the parking with the strip mall.
Except for guys in that, it looks like his parking lot is in that line. Hers is not.
Yeah, I don't know where the
That's-
property
that-
line
that's-
We're still on
straight.
camera, guys.
Oh. Okay, so anyway, moving right along, now we're going to,
Public comment?
yeah, public comments. Mr. Clark.
Yeah, interview?
Oh, what's that?
That was non-agenda items, this could be for.
Yeah, that's kind of where we're at now.
Okay, I got a comment on Mark's building. I don't want to see you guys get too hung up on the truck end of it, because the truck's going out of the lot. So that means it could come in the lot. It doesn't have to do the circle around. And if the guy arrives with a 40-foot trailer, he is probably not going to circle around. He's going to back in off the street, just like happens over at Park and the other places there. It's not uncommon. It's done. I work at Ace. We've got trucks coming up and down the alley. The guys usually know what they're doing, and it's not going to be sitting there too long either.
He says he's not having the big one coming.
Yeah.
Well, sometimes it's out of your
Yeah.
hands.
Yes.
You call for a truck,
Right.
You get
It's
what
and
what's
you
in
get
the
a
area.
truck that's
Yeah.
available. That's all I'm saying. Because if the truck can pull out of that parking lot,
It can
means
back
also
into it.
back in. So I don't want to see everybody get hung up on turning radiuses and everything and not do it. I think it's a good fit. I've sat where you're sitting many years, dealt with Mark's building, and it's a hard
Many,
one to
many
do
times.
because it's so big. And this, I think, is a very good fit, low impact.
I think it's a good fit too. I think
Yeah.
it's a, I don't know that people are standing in line to put retail in there, so I think, I think this is. a
I
good
just
fit
think
for
it'll be
the
good,
building.
good all the way around. That's all.
I disagree. I don't think it's a good fit. I think it's something prudently we should do, but I do not think it's a good fit. So,
Tell him this side's gotta be flexible.
and as far as the trucks, Park is different. Park has their own parking lot. They're not gonna be backing through a public area where people are unaccustomed to trucks backing up. So if you remember, when Quality was in operation, Quality backed up down Teat Street, right over a car on the end of the street with the flagger. So that's why we as a planning commission wanted council's involvement on the agreement. So,
And
but
also-
as long as council's fine,
Yeah.
we're fine.
Yeah, and also talking with Jeff, you know, I discussed to him after the meeting about the garbage trucks. He said, well, that shouldn't happen, but it does. And the only way it can stop is if Mark puts a gate up and stops it from happening.
Correct. Yeah.
So,
And that building was never built as an industrial building. There was never a garage in the beginning. It was a garage. So Armada Oil and Gas did not employ mechanics.
I think it was kind of like a warehouse more.
It was a warehouse and it was
Tire
a place.
storage.
It was a place to store
And oil.
their trucks. That was it. They didn't even change their own oil.
It's concrete block. What's inside? Is that steel girder inside or?
It's trusses, bar joists.
I still think it was the boat store when it first was opened.
Excuse me?
They sold boats.
Boats?
Yep, I've talked with Richard Hill.
I don't remember boats.
I don't remember them either, but I've seen the pictures and things too. But I'm pretty sure my grandfather told me that was, they sold boats.
So that would have been on the original section. But the other section, what they used for storage, where basically the Burns Automotive and all that.
No, that was alley that went around behind it.
Okay.
That's been added on.
Yeah, that's been added on. Okay, so now we've gone by the public comments. We've done the chair report. So now we're gonna enter into the DDA.
Do we have to go out and then back in?
No.
No, because the DDA is part of planning.
Thanks for coming, Steve.
Sure.
since we'll be discussing it in the ZBA, so.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and somebody will be there representing planning. Hopefully your ZBA board sees fit. But like you said, it's, you know, I think it's prudent.
I do too. Okay,
Okay, thanks.
good night.
Good night.
Okay, so the DDA budget. How about you got it, you read it.
All we have to do is adopt the budget. We prepared it, the council approved it, now we have to officially adopt it.
Oh, okay.
So it's all the same numbers that we did
This is
before.
just-
Resolution here.
This is just paying the bill.
Well,
Yeah.
well, no, this is
This is
just
your
that
resolution.
we're gonna do a
It's the formal
second
resolution,
motion for
okay.
that. So Christie's gonna read the resolution, and then it has to be a roll call
Roll
vote.
call, yeah.
Just do the be it resolved.
Okay, be it resolved that at a special meeting of the Village of Armada Planning Commission on behalf of the Downtown Development Authority, or DDA, consisting of a quorum or more duly called and held on February 11, 2015, the following resolution was adopted. That the DDA authority adopt by a majority vote of its members the 2015-2016 operating budget of all revenues and expenditures of DDA funds as presented by the DDA treasurer.
She made the motion, I need a second.
A second.
All in favor?
No,
Oh, no,
nope.
No,
excuse me, roll call vote.
Conan,
Yes.
Delecky,
Yes.
Patterson,
Yes.
Shoemaker's absent, Smith,
Yes.
Sledds.
Yes.
Motion carried. Now, we also need a motion that allows the treasurer to pay the bills as they come due. So that I don't have to wait to pay a bill until you have a plan.
Also move.
Second?
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Okay, so is there anything else anybody wants to bring before planning? Hearing no discussion, I'd like to thank Laura for coming and being our support this evening. And I hope to see you again.
It's a tough one to come in on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. We're very glad you were here.
Oh, thank you.
So,
Motion to adjourn.
second?
Oh, yes.
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.